Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And in Pisces, Venus is high. If you observe closely, then Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, all the three signs are water signs, and water is connected with emotion. And so Venus is more connected with emotion. That is why we relate the feeling of love with Venus. And so in this program, I will talk about Venus in the 12th house. Correct. Venus is not sex. Venus is pure love. But for reproduction, sex is required. And for sex, you need a certain energy. This energy comes from Mars. And that is why Mars signifies sexual energy, whereas Venus signifies love. Now look at this. The same energy, if it is diverted from sex to consciousness, then you see someone like Saul transforming into Saint Paul. Remember, there is a way to go beyond sex. You can transcend sex. That's the meaning of sex to super consciousness. Venus in the 12th house can also lead to a man or a woman who has perfected the art of love making. Always remember, sex has to be something not obscene, not condemned, not regretted, but immensely respected because we are born out of sex. It is our very life source, and to condemn the life source is to condemn everything. Sex has to be raised higher and higher to its ultimate peak, and that ultimate peak is super consciousness. But people in India or on a larger context in Asia just tremble with the word of sex. It is as if just by talking about sex, you are doing some kind of sin. But aren't we all born through the act of sexual union? But people are afraid. They won't speak, at least not in India. Who would tell? But one cannot ignore the facts. One has to say things as they are. Your condemnation won't change the fact. You counting the sins of others won't make you a saint. So you should understand how Venus in 12 can lead one to many sexual experiences, good or bad, that is decided by other aspects that influence this position of Venus. There is no doubt that Maharshi Vatsyan, the man who wrote Kama Sutra with many erotic drawings, had mentioned 84 portions for love making. A man with Venus in 12 is very much interested in the art of love making. It is a truth that nobody is going to tell. Nobody is going to mention it in plain text. But I am doing it so that one understands the depth of 12th house Venus. When Venus is placed in 12th, you generally have a girl or a woman who has those looks that can attract any boy or any man. The same is for a man. This 12th house Venus gives good looks, good appearance, and then follows the pleasures of bed. Basically, this position provides good sexual pleasures to a man or a woman, provided that Venus is not afflicted. If it is afflicted, then it will still provide sexual pleasures, but via shady ways. So you see, this Venus is not bad as long as it is not afflicted by Mars. Whenever Mars is found with Venus in the same house, it makes the man or the woman sexy. The word hot and sexy is typically reserved for human beings made from the combination of Mars and Venus. Along with immense sexual pleasures, if other aspects are supported, that this Mars plus Venus also leads to some romantic tragedy. Because here the person is not satisfied with pure love. He or she wants sex too. And so often the greed to have more and more, this man or woman become cheap and get into extramarital affairs. People with Venus in 12th along with Mars in 12th are also extremely flirtatious by nature. So Venus in 12th, irrespective of what sign it is placed, remains good for the native as long as it is not joined by Mars. Mars is sex and Venus is love. Understand this. It is of great significance. What is marriage? The foremost base of successful marriage is a healthy sexual union. Even the courts would not object to your divorce petition if you mention that you are unable to get the desired sexual satisfaction out of the said marriage. So before you condemn the word sex, understand it is not a sin, it is not a crime, it is not something that should be condemned, it is something that should be respected as long as you are following the law, following the right path. Sex is simply to be celebrated with utmost love and respect. Now, a person with Venus in 12th can also transform into a celebrate, into a great saint. And don't be surprised with this statement because one's attainment to celibacy from birth in this life is based on the experiences of deep sexual union in previous lives and on nothing else. There is no other way. If one has had a profound experience of sex in a previous life, the person will be born free of sex in this life. Sex will not disturb the person, even in his imagination. If someone thinks one can simply become a born celibate without any deep experience of sex, that person is wrong. One will become insane, not celibate. Those who try to impose celibacy upon themselves only go insane. They reach nowhere. Celibacy cannot be imposed. Celibacy evolves out of the experience of sex. It is the result of some profound experience, and the experience is of sex. If that experience can be had even once, the person is released from sex for the unending journey of lifetimes. So remember, a person who has been there, does that, can drop the desire of sex and become a true celebrate. You see, that is how a 12th house Venus has the divine power to transform a passionate lover into the greatest lover of God that the world has ever seen. A man who has diabetes and says I have stopped eating sugar makes no sense. A man who is not getting any marriage proposal and says I have decided to never get married makes no sense. But a man who perfectly is healthy and yet he says I have stopped eating sugar. A man who is getting hundreds of proposals from the most beautiful girls and yet he's saying I don't want to get married or have any relationship is on his way to true celibacy. So only that man or woman can truly surpass the views of sex who has been there, done that. And so we also see many great saints and yogis with 12 house Venus. So you see, astrology is such a deep ocean, but people don't get it. They don't want to dive deep. They are happy to live a shallow life with some tidbits of shallow knowledge, knowledge that they can digest, knowledge that they can face. They say they want to hear the truth, but they never truly want to follow the truth. A man or a woman with Venus in 12th